Hello.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the pod.
I feel like we we just had like a 45-minute conversation before we press record, and sometimes I feel like we need to record those, but
Sometimes
um
they cannot be recorded.
yeah, there's definitely some things that we probably shouldn't put out into the universe. Um
I had this conversation, not that a disclaimer, not that Jess and I sit here and talk shit, but I had an experience in the gym the other day where people were gossiping in public in earshot of other people. And I'm like, listen, if you want to behave like that, go do it in private. Why in the middle of a busy gym?
like
Speaking of
this is not World Health Club, sir. Um yeah, and I think it's so funny, and I wonder if it's like I was gonna say, I wonder if it's like an age thing or like just a I think both of us have gotten to a place where we just like don't care. Because and backstory, we were kind of talking about like other coaches being intimidated by other coaches, and I was like, I literally feel intimidated by no other fitness professionals.
yeah.
Maybe if I met somebody really famous, like
But then
in
you're
person, I would be like
like,
fangirling kind of, but like I just don't feel like, and people have, and the reason people have asked us before, like, how are you guys friends? Aren't you guys technically like each other's competition? And I'm like, no, literally the furthest thing from it. I've sent people to Jill and she has sent people to me, and it is not a competition at all.
but I am very grateful for our dynamic and our relationship. I feel like it isn't very common, especially in this industry, that you can have friends that do the same thing.
Yeah. Oh, I've definitely been places where I worked in person like ages ago that you would be like if somebody else like did a session with your client, you would be like, well, they're trying to try steal my client. And I feel like even if like let's say somebody had like, I don't know, some really specific like pelvic floor stuff, and Jill was like, I think this is beyond my comfort, go talk to Jess. And I would be like, yeah, like we could do a couple virtual sessions or whatever, and I'll tell Jill like what we talked about with your permission, and I would just like give them back like a consult, not like, well, now you're my client. Like it just doesn't really occur to me. And I think I've even sent people to you for like nutrition, and they're just like, yeah, like we just kind of, do the thing, and then they either come back, or even if they were like, you know what, I think maybe like Jill is a better fit, I'd be like, okay,
Cool.
she might be.
That's why there's different trainers for different reasons.
I'm just not that insecure with myself that I'm the only coach for people. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's just like a level of security with us. I don't know. Anyways.
Yeah. But anywho, not the pod for this week. Do you have a win for this week?
You know what? I was really struggling to think of a win because your girls had a rough week. I injured my forearm on the weekend, and that has been quite painful. But I think I have figured it out. Not that it's making it any less painful, but obviously we're booked into physio. We'll see what's up.
And it's always helpful to know the issue and not just be in pain, and also not knowing what's causing said pain.
Yeah, I mean, it's still freaking annoying, but and then my allergies have really flared up this week. Possibly due to the same reason as the arm, and that I was doing stupid yard work. um and so my eyes were really watering and my face was really raw and puffy, and I just felt really gross as a human because of that. But that said, and I feel like I've had like a bunch of just mindset wins lately. I feel like I haven't given you guys any like concrete wins, but the mindset win is that I've still gotten in my planned workouts this week. Um, and I just kind of was like, hey, what can you do? And I feel like that's something that happens either like on a different level as an athlete or a coach, is like when something is injured or hurting and you're like, hey, what can we do? Not, well, my arm is buggered. Because I was just saying to Jill, like, this injury that is going on is such that I can deadlift the same weight that I have been with no pain, but I can't hold my water bottle like out from my body. And so I was like, and instead of being like, well, I guess we're not going to work out, I was like, no, like you can go see what you can do. I mean, it's not like you, like my gym is in my basement. So I just, trek on downstairs. If it didn't work out, I was just going to come on back upstairs.
Mhm.
So I still got all my workouts in, and my lovely friend Jill gave me the lowdown on Aquaphor,
I
which is basically like fancy Vaseline. Um,
Aquaphor was literally, if you have been here for a hot minute, you would have known that I was on Accutane at one point in my life. And I didn't love my life on Accutane, but Aquaphor was the only thing that made Accutane doable because it sucks every drop of moisture out of your body.
yeah. So, anyways, so my face is like, it's still a bit puffy, but it is healing. It's not red and raw anymore. Um, and I went and got some new allergy medicine, and I got some allergy eye drops, and we're
We're
on
on
our way to back to normal, I would say.
the
So the win is just, just kind of a pivot from being like, well, this sucks, to okay, let's regroup and let's, be a human again.
But if you ever have, yeah, like dry skin, raw skin, I also have very sensitive skin, which is why when Jess said like my skin's really like raw and sensitive, I was like, yeah, I'm the girl for that. Because one time in high school, I used foaming cleanser instead of a gel cleanser. I literally had water blisters on my face from just using a different cleanser. So if
Hey,
you're
but remember the kinds of cleansers we were like sold? Like the OxyClean, like the Clean and Clear with the scrubbing
yeah,
beads, like those things, like like take the skin off your face. Like that's not the vibe. And I actually have a really good skincare routine, which is why I was so pissed, because I thought it was something that irritated it. But then I was like, my eyes are watering. And then I was like, oh yeah, when you like cry a lot, your skin just gets really raw because your tears don't mesh well with your skin. And I was like, I was like, hey, so first of all, we need to soothe the skin. Second of all, we need to get these eyes to stop watering. So it's like, maybe I need to switch allergy meds and get some like really good eye drops. So like shout out to the pharmacist down the street from my house, because I went in looking like
like help.
I'd been crying for 6 days. And I was like, this is allergies. Please help. And they were like, what are you taking? What are the symptoms? And I was like, honestly, just eyes are watering. That's it. And they were like, yeah, try this, try this. And I was like,
Yeah.
boom.
But if you ever
Um,
have skin issues, Aquaphor is literally a lifesaver and won't mess anything up. I promise. It is like fancy Vaseline, but you can put it on your lips, you can put it on your skin, you can put it on your babies, you can do
yeah.
anything with it.
And I actually had like a little, this is funny, when Jill was like Aquaphor, I was like, oh my God, I have like a lip balm that's Aquaphor, because last year when we were being outside and it was cold, I would put some on Wynn's cheeks so that they wouldn't get too cold. And now I have this tub of Aquaphor that I'm like, I'm just going to do that. And then she'll just be warm, like her face. I don't have to worry about frostbite and stuff. So, anyways, that's the win. It seems like a very roundabout win, but we're on the come up. That's my win. I'm on the come up.
I love that. I think my win's a pretty big deal for me. Anyone that knows me, I have gone to the gym in the morning all 3 days this week. It's currently Wednesday, and I've been to the gym 3 out of 3 days, and usually I work out between 1 and 5 p.m. And I have been done at the gym before 11 a.m. for the past 3 days. And I think that's pretty cool.
I think that's a huge one, because if you know me, you know that my prime exercising time is between 9:30 and 11:30. Um, yeah, I've always been a like mid-morning gal. And it killed me that when I was like doing CrossFit, that the only class from like 9 to 11 was like the competing class. So it was like advanced stuff. And I was like, this is probably not something I should be doing pregnant. But I do enjoy that time of morning for workout. There's something about like morning, but not like before 8.
Yeah, like I'm not forcing myself out of bed and prying my eyes open and being half asleep through my workout. I still get to sleep till 7:30, 8 o'clock, have a little bit of food, coffee's been my pre-workout this week because
I love that.
it's in the morning. So have my bagel, have my coffee, get my workout done. And my morning still feels low enough, but structured enough. And especially with it getting colder and darker mostly, I don't want to be walking my dog downtown for an hour in the dark every night. So with shifting my workout time to the morning, now I can walk my dog when I would normally be at the gym, and we can go for a long walk while it's light out, but it's also not hot for her. So I think this is going to be a good shift, especially in the winter. I thought I was going to do one morning workout on Monday because I had to go. It was the only time I had to work out. I thought I was going to do it Monday and never do it again. But here we are. So we're going to try to stick with it for a while, feel it out, give it a good go. But I hit a couple PRs on Monday. So maybe I was meant to work out in the morning.
I agree. And I feel like a lot of people who listen are going to be like, well, I can't do that because I work. Well, sucks for you, doesn't it?
I love you so much, but we all make our own life choices. And I chose not to subscribe to the 9 to 5. So I'll be at the gym at 9 a.m. if anyone.
Yeah. There are perks to running your own business. And one of those is making a schedule that you want to have. And honestly, I don't think I could go back to having somebody tell me when I had to be somewhere. I'm like, oh no. I'm like, we decide when we have openings for meetings and when we don't. And I'm just like, yeah, no, I whether it's like a problem with authority or something, I don't know. There's probably something to be said there, but
our therapist about our problem with authority. That's fine.
Yeah. Anyways, there are perks to having your own business. Taxes is not one of those things. So if you enjoy receiving money back at tax time, I don't recommend this. Anyways,
well, that's a fun new switch for my week, and I'm excited to see how it goes for the winter. But shifting away from workouts, we're talking a lot of things nutrition this week. Some common questions and things that have come up with clients, and also 1,000,000,002 comments I've been getting on my TikTok lately. The internet has stopped bullying me for now, so we love that. But I keep getting the same questions all the time. So if you're listening to the pod and you found me on TikTok, this is for you. Free info for you. 3 common things I've been getting on TikTok, and we'll go through them one at a time. Most common question I've been getting lately, because a lot of my videos on TikTok are protein based, how to increase protein, how to get more protein in your diet, all the things we know and love. Biggest theme I've been getting in my comments, and I'll let you speak on this first. Direct from my comments, I'm hungry all day, no matter how much protein I eat, and it doesn't matter. Even if I eat more protein, I'm still hungry. Disclaimer, I don't know the specifics of this. I don't know what lots of protein means to them. I don't know what more protein means to them. But let's say hypothetically you're following the standard we usually give people of 30 grams of protein with your big meals and then some sort of protein with your snacks. You're still hungry all the time. What advice you got?
Well, are you eating enough? Like, is it a volume problem? Like, because protein isn't the only thing you should be eating, right? So let's say your lunch is like a salad with like a chicken breast. Is that enough calories in general? And I don't even really speak in like calories, but what if you had like, oh, I don't know, some bread, like garlic toast or something delicious? Like, what if you had something more than that? Like, you can't just add another chicken breast and be like, oh, that did the trick. Like, at some point, there has to be some volume. Are you raising your hand as in this is me, or you want to speak?
I'm raising my hand to hold my thought in my voice.
Oh,
but also because I realized I can give you more specifics.
Oh, okay.
I won't name names, but the lady who most recently left this comment on my video, I asked back. I'll read you our conversation, and maybe this
Okay.
will, and then I will reply to said lady and let her know that we're answering her exact problem on the pod. She said, oh, this kind of goes with the other thing we were going to talk about too. Another comment I get a lot is eating breakfast in the morning. When people eat breakfast in the morning, they feel like they can't stop eating throughout the day. Those two kind of go hand in hand. We're eating breakfast, we're hungry all day, we're eating protein, we're still hungry all day. She said, when I eat breakfast, I can't get enough food throughout the day. It doesn't matter how much protein I eat. So look, both problems in one question. So I said, do you track your food? And she said, I did for 1.5 years and stopped after I stalled weight loss for 6 months. It's very defeating. I replied and I said, I was more so asking to see what your overall intake is like, to get an idea of how much food are you actually eating in a day. Because if you're eating 100 grams of protein, but only 1,000 calories, I've found your problem. So I wanted to know how much food she's actually eating in a day. She gave me a rundown of her day of eating. So I shall share. Breakfast is usually a protein shake 5 days out of the week. The
That's
other,
not enough.
okay, so
I'm just right there. That's not enough.
yeah, so that was the first thing that popped into my head was a protein shake. Cool, you hit your protein. Where's our carbs? Where's our fat? Where's our fiber? We're missing 3 out of 4 things.
That's not a meal.
2 of those days is things like a couple of eggs and turkey sausage with a multigrain light English muffin. We
That
already
sounds delicious.
know though, 2 eggs, cool.
A turkey sausage though.
Probably not enough protein for the regular person. Turkey sausage, cool. I do have a slight bone to pick with breakfast sausages. If they're not turkey, they're usually more fat than anything else, which nothing
Fair
wrong
enough.
with that. But the turkey sausages that Jess and I eat from Costco, shout out to Jess, great. Lower fat, higher protein.
Costco sponsors. Keep us in breakfast sausages.
And an English muffin. So in that day, we've got our carbs, our fibers, some fats. Cool. So what would you take her breakfast? That's 5 days of a week of just a protein shake. What would you add?
The rest of the meal. Like literally anything else. Like peanut butter on toast, cream cheese on a bagel. Your whatever, what did she say? English muffin? Do that.
Those are on the other 2
yeah,
days.
but you could have that if, let's say, you're out of breakfast sausages. You could have your protein shake with your, like, honestly, literally almost anything you want to eat that has carbs and fat, because that's the only other macronutrients that you're like missing.
And then we also need to throw some fiber in there. Most people
increase
their protein.
She said she had a multigrain.
Yeah. But
so
with
that's fiber.
With the protein shake, though, we need to make sure the fiber's there. I find the most common issue is people increase their protein and we don't match fiber. And then we run into issues pooping is most the problem.
And the other thing about a protein shake is, like, I need more details. Are you making a smoothie that happens to have protein in it with like berries, yogurt, other things? Or are you having like a Fairlife? Like, those are not the same.
I would guess she's probably a person who works at 9 to 5. So I would guess it's like make a protein shake, like protein powder and water, or Fairlife as we're leaving out the door.
Like, I'm happy you're having something. Like, let's not negate that. However, you need more. Even adding like a banana and some fruit and a piece of toast would make the world of difference to that sad little breakfast protein shake. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that like that's having the protein is great. Choosing protein is you're always going to get a thumbs up from me. But it's like you need to choose protein, and
protein is not the only thing that dictates hunger.
No.
Feel in the day. We need our other micro and macronutrients as well. So breakfast, we've sorted. We need more in general. We're moving on to lunch. Lunch is a Factor meal, which I think is a US company. It's like that Factor. You'd have to Google it. It's like a meal prep pre-made meal company, Factor Meals, I think it's called.
No, it's actually a Canadian company.
Oh, maybe she's Canadian.
Clean eating made easy. Blech, sorry.
But it's like
anybody that's like clean
so
eating made easy. What does clean mean as opposed to dirty?
I would assume if it's a meal prep company, it's probably high protein.
They actually look good. You can pick like roasted garlic and potatoes, roasted garlic chicken with potatoes and beans, beef taco bowl. They look good. I just don't like that they're advertising that they're clean.
Okay, so we approve of the Factor meal. She said lunch is a Factor meal that has protein, vegetables. Snack is a protein water. I'm putting a question mark behind that. We
Come
got
here, Dr. Google.
to do a protein water and sometimes a protein bar.
Stop. What is this protein water?
I do
Protein infused water.
I do know that companies like Women's no. What's that company called? I can't remember. There are companies that make like clear whey protein and it's like juice tasting instead of like creamy. But I don't know what a protein water is specifically.
Well, something comes up on Amazon that is it's called Protein 2.0. And it's like it's only 15 grams of protein though, so okay.
But again,
there's something that you can buy at Costco. Let me just it's only 15 grams of whey protein.
Okay. So we're doing a protein water.
And only 70 calories. A snack average should be about 150 to 200 calories. So that's half a snack.
Or a protein bar, which again depends on what you're eating, what type of bar it is. Is it actually a protein bar or is it an energy bar? Honestly, for this person, I would go for more of an energy bar with some more carbs.
You're gonna need it, to be honest,
because we don't have a lot going on. So same thing with snack. We're doing with breakfast. We need more. Have your protein water. Sure, great. That's the choice of protein you want to include in your snack. Cool. Can we do some veggies in a dip? Can we do some crackers and cheese? Can we do what else do people that work regular jobs eat for a snack? Some fruit, some Greek yogurt and berries, some trail mix. Can we add something to your protein source to bulk it up a little bit? Dinner is usually chicken, salmon, or pork, some sort of veggie, sometimes a potato, sometimes muscle mac and cheese, which if you don't know what that is, one, it's not very good, I don't think, and two, it's protein mac and cheese. But not like the one I make that's like actually good and the recipe's on TikTok, like boxed KD, but protein version.
That sounds terrible. Anything that's like protein, something that already exists, is generally no good. Like there's like protein Snickers bars, there's like things like that, like anything that's like KD protein, it's a no for me. And in general, it sounds like this person could benefit from some carbohydrates because they didn't have any at breakfast. And then I don't know if it was left out, but that Factor meal, they said, which is a protein and veg. They didn't say anything about a starch. And then the snacks were protein water and a protein bar. If it's some kind of protein chocolate bar, which I like those, I have like half of one almost every day because not only is it a little bit of protein, but it's a little bit of chocolate, which satisfies that sweet tooth. But I'm not seeing a lot of like starch, and that's what's going to give you a bulk of calories to add on to that protein. And I was just kind of thinking as you were going through this, Jill, and I was like, is it the wellness industry's fault for saying things like choose protein, but not elaborating, not giving the nuance of how about add protein to your snack? Maybe that is the language that our industry needs to start using, because otherwise we end up people having only protein for snack. Like that would be like what if you sat down at 3 o'clock for your afternoon snack and ate a chicken breast? Like that's the equivalent, like, right? Nobody, well, okay, no, I don't say nobody does that. People
There's
do that.
plenty of people that do.
People do that, but they do not listen to this because they are listening to a bodybuilding podcast. But maybe what we need to say to normal people is, what do you like to have for snack? Let's add some protein to that. So whether we add a couple pepperoni sticks, or maybe you have like cheese and crackers and a protein water. Like maybe that would be a better option than just choose protein. And that's the only choice that there is. Because I also think that sometimes finding things that are like protein is like, it's tricky. And that's something that I talk about a lot with my clients, is that like, I have no ideas. And I'm like, you just have to have things close by that are easy. So like, I'm not saying no protein bars. I'm not saying no pepperoni sticks, things like that. Those are often the things that are easy to grab when you're like, I need a snack, but I also need the snack to have protein. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, I open my fridge and I'm like, what am I going to have for snack? I will eat one, maybe two pepperoni sticks while I'm standing at the fridge. And I'm like, well, at least I got my protein covered. Now I can have whatever I want.
Yeah. And I think you're probably onto something with that in saying, I talk about protein all the time, but I'm not just out here drinking protein shakes for every meal or chicken and
Could
nothing
you
else.
imagine?
Protein is so important, and we know this, and we're happy to help you increase your protein and find ways to get more. But our carbs and our fats play a role too. Protein, yeah, it helps build muscle, it helps keeps us
Yeah.
full. Carbs are energy source. Fats make our brains work and also are that long-term energy. Fiber is what keeps your digestion regular. Protein is important, but so is everything else. And you're probably right with that languaging around eat more protein, include more protein. We forget about everything else because we're like, well, I have to only have protein and I can't have carbs and I can't have these other things. But a reason you're eating breakfast and then you're starving all day, or you're hungry no matter how much protein you eat, is because we're missing 3 out of the 4 other
Mm-hmm.
things in our diet.
Yeah. And it could also be that when you give your body actual food, it's like, hey, wait a second. This didn't happen yesterday.
Mhm.
Like, let's take advantage of this shit and let's get it. Like, I need, and your body is actually telling you that you do need more food. And Jill's talked about this a lot. I feel like I've heard you say this a few times lately, is like when you're talking about how like coffee is not breakfast. I always try to think of like, because I do like to have a coffee before I eat a meal. So I've like made myself have, usually what I do is I do my greens, and then I have a banana, and then I have coffee, and then I have breakfast a little bit later. Because I'm like, I can hear Jill in my head saying, coffee is an appetite suppressant. Coffee is an appetite suppressant. So if I don't have something before my coffee, then yeah, first of all, my stomach's probably going to be upset. And second of all, I'm going to get to like, 8 o'clock when I go to make my breakfast, I'm going to be like, I don't actually want anything. But you know what? When you have a toddler, they want things all the time. So like usually I just make us one big plate and then we share, because otherwise, if you have a toddler, you'll know why. You just keep it all on your plate, because sometimes you can have the same thing on their little plate
And they
and
don't
they'd
want.
rather eat yours.
Yeah. And I think that's a big thing is when I say coffee's not breakfast, I'm not saying you can't drink your coffee, but have something. Like I do that often too, especially this week with shifting my workouts, is I've done a coffee and a bagel. And then when I get home, I start to load my protein a little bit more. I
Mm-hmm.
don't like to eat a super heavy breakfast. I don't want eggs and egg whites and turkey sausages and a bagel at 8 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, I literally threw up in my mouth eating just a bagel and a cup of coffee on Monday morning. Like if I ate that much volume first thing in the
Yeah.
morning, I would yak. And also my stomach would hurt. I can't do high fat first thing in the morning. My digestion just isn't moving and grooving enough to be like, hey, digest all these fats, healthy or not.
Yeah. Eggs are, for me, eggs have to be brunch or lunch.
100%. If I do eggs
I
first thing in
cannot
the
do
morning,
eggs in the morning.
I'll poop in my pants every time. It's just the way it goes. But you're allowed to break up your breakfast too. Like if you don't like something super heavy, have an apple, have a banana, have a
Yeah.
bagel, do your coffee, and then have your high protein later. But don't just focus on protein either. And that kind of leans into the other thing I get on TikTok all the time is I can't eat breakfast because I'm nauseous in the morning. Or I eat breakfast and it makes me nauseous in the morning.
Does one occur because of the other?
I get both sides of it. I can't eat because I'm nauseous, or I do eat and then I'm nauseous.
I would, if that was a client of mine, I would ask them to do an experiment for me. And I would say, I would like you to try 1 week of not necessarily like a full breakfast. Like, we're not talking about eggs and whatever first thing in the morning. I want you to have something small. I want you to have a piece of toast with peanut butter, and also maybe something that is easily digestible. Like, what are you having for this breakfast that is causing the nausea? Is it a Fairlife shake or something like that? Like, is it the dairy? I want to know more, right? I want to know, are you nauseous because you are now so hungry because you haven't eaten since, your bedtime snack? And it's been, 10 hours probably. Are you nauseous because of that? Because I know if I don't eat, I feel, I'm like, I'm so hungry I could barf, but there's nothing in my tummy to barf. Or are you eating something that doesn't really jive with you for breakfast? And that's why you're nauseous when you do eat breakfast. So if you're like let's say you're like, hey, I'm gonna start eating breakfast. I'm gonna down 2 hard-boiled eggs, and your body is like Jill and I, that's like, oh, no, we don't do that kind of fat first thing in the morning. Can you have something that is easily digestible, like a piece of toast with peanut butter? If I am, and these are also people, I talk to people like this who are like, I work out early in the morning, so I can't eat. But then they end up in this deficit and they end up eating the entire fridge the rest of the day. What if I gave you permission to have like half of a granola bar, or gasp, like 2 bites? What if you had just enough to give yourself a little bit of carbs, bring that energy up, and then you did your workout? I have a client who only ran, like fasted, and I was like, we're up to like a granola bar, which is huge for them. Huge. So give yourself permission. Like, this is the time you could have half a banana. Most of the time, if you have half a banana, I'm throwing you out. But this is the time when you can have a couple bites of something, a sip of coffee, and run out the door, right? Like, you doesn't have to be a meal. What if you had a breakfast snack? What if we got to make nutrition whatever works for us?
100%. And that is what I tell everybody, because I posted the video that got me bullied on the internet, which I have now,
Which was terrible.
everyone was so mean, but I have now added words that you can't comment on my TikTok anymore. Like, if you try to comment it, it'll show you that it commented. It doesn't show up on my end, and no one else can see it. So joke's on you. Be mean to me. I'm never going to see it.
It's wild.
And you can filter words. So I filtered like all the mean words that everyone was saying to me. And I'm like, stick it in a comment. Do it. It shows you that you posted it. I don't ever see it. So talk away. Anywho, on that video, it was my protein Greek yogurt, which if you follow me on Instagram or TikTok, you've seen me make 1,000 times. Plain Greek yogurt, scoop of protein, some sort of fruit. Protein, carbs, fiber, done. We're done. Everything's there. It's not very high fat, but sometimes I throw some chocolate chips in there. So then we cover that base too. And everyone was like, I could never eat that in the morning. That's too heavy. This would make me nauseous. That's the video these comments came from. You don't have to eat that first thing in the morning. And I was trying to reply to as many people as I could. Your first food might work better if it's just a carb, a bagel, toast, some fruit, whatever, because carbs are quick and easy to digest, but it still gets something in your stomach. So don't feel like as soon as you wake up, you have to jam pack the protein in. If you know that doesn't make you feel good, or you're dealing with nausea in the morning already, it's probably because you're hungry. You haven't eaten in 8, 10, 12 hours since dinner or your bedtime snack or whatever. It's been a lot of hours. So put something in your body that's quick and easy to digest. And then your body's been awake for a while, then start your protein.
Yeah.
That helps.
And I would even hesitate to say that a lot of people who are feeling nauseous, they're like, I need to eat something. And then they, like I said before, they might make eggs or something like that. and they're eating something that is not easy to digest. And my next question to this person is, have you tried something else? Did you get nauseous that one time and you're like, well, that's it for breakfast? Like, let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. Let's not paint with the same paintbrush. Like, have you tried options?
Mhm.
Right? Like nutrition, fitness, everything that we coach is 100% trial and error, right? You try, your knee hurts, you try this exercise, it still hurts. Okay, let's try something else. Let's try something else. Let's try something else. Like, did you do it one time and you were like, well, I guess breakfast isn't for me. I guess I'm just meant to be nauseous. Like, look yourself in the mirror and say what I just said.
I'm not
And
gonna
then
lie.
be like, does that sound good?
I'm not gonna lie, and this is not me trying to be mean to the people that comment on my videos. But most likely, yes, that is exactly what happened. I ate breakfast one time, it made me not feel good, so I don't eat breakfast anymore. But what did you make breakfast look like? What did you think breakfast had to look like? Like, there is options, and the worst that happens is you try something and it doesn't work. It's the same thing in the gym. You pick up dumbbells, they're a
And
little too heavy. It's fine. You're gonna be okay still.
yeah, and is you telling yourself that you can't have breakfast contributing to that? Because we know that the things that we tell ourselves, like our brains are messed, right? We tell ourselves stuff that's not true all the time. So, what if you were like, okay, I'm going to the person, my granola bar person, the other thing was that bananas made them gag. And usually bananas like a safe, right? Like, because if you think about when your digestion's off and you go back to the brat diet, it's like bananas, rice, applesauce, toast, right? Like those are the safe foods. And she was like, bananas make me gag. And I was like, but you're a runner. All runners like bananas.
What do you mean?
um, um, anyways, so I was like, okay, like what do you like? What carby thing do you like? And she was like, we have lots of granola bars. I have kids. And I was like, cool, have half a granola bar. Like it's fine. And they're like, I can just have half. And I was like, you could have a bite.
You could
Let's
also
start with that.
eat 2 granola bars. I
Like
don't care.
the thing is like there aren't really many rules when it comes to like fitness and nutrition, right? And I think sometimes, and this is one of the things when I coach people in nutrition, is we actually talk about food rules right off the bat and like the rules that you have been led to believe or the rules that you have given yourself. And one of the things that we do is we just go through and I'm like, this flat out is not true. This flat out is not true. Because if you think about like women in particular, we have been told so many things that most of the time when people end up coaching with Jill or I, they don't know what to believe. And we have to sit them down and be like, I'm really sorry that somebody told you that fat makes you fat, but it really doesn't. It actually just makes your insides kind of slippery and it helps your digestion. And people are like, oh, I'm like, that's why if you have like a whole avocado or like a lot of guacamole, like you have to poop. So because it's like lots of fats. But I was like, but you don't get fat from guacamole. It's
No.
actually delicious. It's just like lubrication.
We've been made to believe there's a lot of nutrition rules, but there actually isn't. And
No.
if you want some, let's make them for ourselves. And I think that's a big thing both of us
And
do.
make it like I have a banana before my coffee. That's a good rule.
Yeah. And I think that's something you and I do with a lot of our clients is like, okay, you want rules? Let's make our
Oh,
own.
I'll give you rules.
Throw them out the window. We're making our own rules. And that can be really helpful too, because then you feel like you still have structure and routine and guidelines, but it's not based on some man
Oh,
who probably decided that everyone should do the same thing.
I
So,
mean, we love structure and routine. We really do.
but let's
But
make sure it works for you and not some random
yeah,
person on the internet.
I agree. I agree. And I think we're coming to a point where information is so readily available that a lot of people are getting good information. There's still a lot of really bad information out there, but I also think that we're at a point where people who have larger platforms or bigger voices are shutting things like that down. I can't remember, what did I see that somebody just flat out was like, it was probably a TikTok, and the classic, you see the guy in the grocery store aisle yelling probably about oatmeal, and some stitch comes in and it's like, this is wrong. It's absolutely not true. And like the person who comes in and says that's not true has like a huge following, and then people are like, yeah, so this thing where this guy was saying oatmeal was bad, and this guy was like, no, it's not good, so like eat your oatmeal.
Yeah.
And I think that we're seeing a lot of that, and I know that we are seeing a lot more in the like pregnancy and postpartum space, mostly because there's been a lot of big studies about pregnancy and postpartum and exercising coming out from big names. So there's less, but
you got to
yeah.
find, I think the general PSA, we've talked about this many times, so we don't need to really dive into it, but you got to find your space on the internet. You can find anything you want on the internet, but find the space that makes sense to you and makes your brain feel calm, and you don't go there and be like, what am I supposed to be
know who is a safe source and who you can just keep scrolling past.
Yeah.
There's a good, but don't scroll past this podcast because you know that you're getting good information from us. I think that's probably good for today. If you have, here's a question I'm going to throw out there. If you have a food rule that you're not sure about and you would like us to give you the lowdown on, please send us your food rules. How you can do that is you can either send us a voice memo, which would be my preferred method, but I digress. You could also drop us a DM over on Instagram, which is at Lattes and Lifting Podcast. We've been putting up question boxes each week before we record. So if you want to comment there, or if you want to send each of us a DM, whatever, get it to us somehow, and we will debunk your food rule for free. I mean, this is free coaching. We love it.
If you are on my TikTok and you want, like, you have a question or I post a video and you need further explanation, feel free to drop a comment and let me know you want me to answer it in a podcast. I will pull it into the podcast. Me and Jess would be happy to answer it. I'm trying to get more traction from like TikTok to the podcast. So if you already follow me over there and I ever post something and you're like, I have a question about this, put in like all caps podcast or podcast question or something, and then I will happily dive into it, because TikTok has a character limit. And I'm not going to lie to you, I'm not sending you 42 comments back to answer your question. I'm just probably not going to answer because it's annoying that I can only put X amount of characters in a TikTok comment. So
yeah,
it's easier for us to dive into things here, and we're happy to do it.
If we get more people from TikTok listening to the podcast, and I know TikTok is like a wild, wild ride. If you come over here to the podcast and you're going to be a TikTok troll, there's no way to block us or block you. So I don't know what we're gonna do with you, but you're stuck.
There's not much for them to do over here anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, if you want me to dive into more topics, I'll do it on the pod. I'm not going to do it in the TikTok comments. Sorry. But you can find me on TikTok and Instagram if you're not already there, at coachjill.april. As always, you can find the podcast at Lattes and Lifting Podcast.
And you know what? We actually have a podcast win, which we'll close with, is that so we're on this thing called Chartable, which charts podcasts, and we were actually number like 43 in Canada for fitness podcasts last week. So it's based on like downloads and things like that on different platforms. So thank you, because that's huge. We were ahead of some big names in the fitness industry, and even local people who probably don't listen but have podcasts, and we're like, just a little bit of us over here.
A little ego boost for us. So yeah, as always, thanks for being here. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Bye.